goes on.
Yeah, we're rolling. So, quick question. So, is there a difference between guilt and shame? What do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, very, very, very good question. There is a huge difference between guilt and shame. And I actually believe that our entire society is facing the social unrest we are today because we're living in the bandwidth of shame. We're living in the frequency of shame. Everyone has this like keeping up the Jones mentality. Everyone needs the Range Rover of the neighborhood. Everyone needs the bigger house of the neighborhood. Everyone needs the bigger pool of the neighborhood. And it's all causing us to go way over our head, live in scarcity, live in shame, and actually be like way overextended. This is very, very, very oversimplified. But back to the original question, guilt versus shame. Guilt is something that is so amazing. Like so amazing. Guilt is straight up divine in my opinion. Guilt is a natural response your body receives when your soul is doing something it should not be doing. However, where guilt could be completely mistranslated and become very destructive from such a beautiful thing is when shame comes into involved. Guilt is something you feel very temporary when you do something that maybe you shouldn't be doing, or maybe you're conditioned to think you shouldn't be doing, and it's there for a few seconds. And that's great. You're supposed to internalize that. You're supposed to process it. You're supposed to learn from that. You're supposed to turn around, come back, and learn from your mistakes. Shame, holding on to that guilt by whether it's not processing what you just did or whether it's just beating yourself up from it. And I think most people probably just beat themselves up from it. Beating yourself up from something you may have fell short on, that's living in shame. And that's lowering your energy. That's lowering your vibration. That's lowering your bandwidth in which your reality could even be, just by putting yourself in a box of, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy. I am shameful. You are so worthy. You are literally the definition of love and light. And of course, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. This is all my opinion. But it is my personal opinion that you are the splitting image of the universe. And that's why you have things like guilt to be able to guide your soul and guide yourself through things that are good and inherently bad. Shame is a freaking scam. Shame is something that you should dispose of immediately. Holding on to that guilt for any longer amount of reason, holding on to that resentment is nothing but self-destructive to your life. What I would say is when you feel guilty, when you feel like you've maybe done something wrong or you could have done something better, process it. Give yourself the time of day to process. Give yourself the time of day to make amends. Give yourself the time of day to go through, but end it with affirmations. After you process it, tell yourself that you are capable. Tell yourself you are worthy. Tell yourself you are love and light. And make sure you do not fall into the trapping of shames, because guilt should not be something that lasts more than a few seconds. Because guess what? You are always worthy. You are always loved. You are always light. And you always have the ability to go and be better the next second than you were even the past 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Choose to get out of shame. Choose to break out of that cycle. And shame is actually a generational cycle. So many parents beat their kids because their parents beat their kids. And so many people create this society of living in shame where you just constantly feel not good enough. And I'm here to tell you, that shit's a scam. It's a scam. Get out of it. You are so worthy. You are so intelligent. You are so capable. And guilt is such a divine ability to be able to know what is naturally good or not for your soul. Do not fall into the traps of shame. Learn to forgive yourself. That is the best thing you can do. And I promise you, you will have a much more productive and happy life as you choose to process in real time something that makes you feel guilty and let go of shame completely, because that's something that does not serve you, and that's something that does not serve your higher good. Thank you.
Quick question.
What's
that was
up?
good. That was really good. So, what would be like the opposite of guilt and shame?
What would be the love and self-acceptance? Feeling the self-love for yourself, feeling self-acceptance is the exact opposite of shame. And when you love yourself, you're kind of out of your shell. I hang out with a lot of people who are like, Daryl, I love hanging out with you because you bring me out of my shell. You allow me to be more goofy in public. You allow me to just be myself more versus being like completely in this like character of myself, or I just don't allow myself to be me. That's because that's shame. But loving yourself and accepting yourself and choosing to just be you, that's the complete opposite bandwidth of that. And it's super, super hard to get there. I'm not there all the time. Obviously, progression is never linear. You can't just learn something once, know something once, and pretend that's you for the rest of your life. No, you got to stick to your pillars. You got to stick to your foundation. You got to stick to the actual grit and hard work it takes to keep up that positive mindset. But I promise, as you go and choose to do the hard things, as you prove to yourself that you can go and face and do hard things, you're going to get that self-love. You're going to get that validation, which is the complete opposite of guilt and shame. Good question, Jasper. You're on fire.
Just made sense. I don't know. I was just curious.
Yeah. Fuego.
Fuego.
Well, is that a good bit? Hindi's here.
Hindi?
Hey!